Not every writer can be a Shakespeare. Some books just seem to slip right through the cracks. We asked some of the English professors to read a few honorable mentions that, let's face it, will never end up on the New York Times bestsellers list.
On their first date, he'd asked how much she thought Edgar Allan Poe's toenails would sell for on eBay. And on their second, he paid for subway fare with nickels he fished out of a fountain. But he was otherwise charming, and she thought that they could have a perfectly tolerable life together.
For the first month of Ricardo and Felicity's affair, they greeted one another at every stolen rendezvous with a kiss, a lengthy, ravenous kiss, Ricardo lapping and sucking at Felicity's mouth as if she were a giant cage-mounted water bottle and he were the world's thirstiest gerbil.
As he told her that he loved her, she gazed into his eyes, wondering, as she noted the infestation of eyelash mites, the tiny duodecids burrowing into his follicles to eat the greasy sebum therein, each female laying up to 25 eggs in a single follicle, causing inflammation, whether the eyes are truly the windows of the soul, and if so, his soul needed regrouting.
Thought Abigail as she gazed languidly from the veranda past the bright white patio to the Curlean sea beyond, where dolphins played and seagulls sang, where splashing surf sounded like the tintinnabulation of 1,000 tiny bells, where great gray whales bellowed and the sunlight sparkled off the myriad of sequins on the fly fish's bow ties. Time to get my meds checked.
As the sun dropped below the horizon, the safari guide confirmed the approaching Cape buffaloes were herbivores, which calmed everyone in the group, except for Herb, of course.
As I gardened, gazing towards the autumnal sky, I longed to run my finger through the trail of mucus left by a single speckled slug innocuously thrusting past my rhododendrons. And in feeling that warm slime, be swept back to planet Alderaan, back into the tentacles of the alien who loved me.
Betty had eyes that said, "Come here," lips that said, "Kiss me," arms and torso that said, "Hold me all night long," but the rest of her body said, "Fillet me, cover me in cornmeal, and fry me in peanut oil." Romance wasn't easy for a mermaid.
Despite the vast difference in their ages, ethnicity, and religious upbringing, the sexual chemistry between Roberto and Heather was the most amazing he had ever experienced. And for the entirety of the Labor Day weekend, they had sex like monkeys on espresso. Not those monkeys in the zoo that fling their feces at you, but more like the monkeys in the wild that have those giant red butts and access to an espresso machine.
As an ornithologist, George was fascinated by the fact that urine and feces mix in birds' rectums to form a unified, homogeneous slurry that is expelled through defecation. Although, eyeing Greta's face and sensing the reaction of the congregation, he immediately realized he should have used a different analogy to describe their relationship in his wedding vows.
Before they met, his heart was a frozen block of ice, scarred by the escape blades of broken relationships. Then she came along and, like a beautiful Zamboni, flooded his heart with warmth, scraped away the ugly, slushy bits, and dumped them in the empty parking lot of his soul.
The notion that they would no longer be a couple dashed Helen's hopes and scrambled her thoughts, not unlike the time her sleeve caught the edge of the open egg carton and the contents hit the floor like fragile things hitting cold tiles, more pitiable because they were the expensive organic brown eggs from free-range chickens, and one of them clearly had double yolks entwined in one sack, just the way Helen and Richard used to be.
As she slowly drove up the long, winding driveway, Lady Alicia peeked out the window of her shiny blue Mercedes and spied Rodrigo, the new gardener, standing on a grassy mound with his long black hair blowing in the wind, his brown eyes piercing into her very soul, and his white shirt open to the waist, revealing his beautifully ripping, muscular chest. And she thought to herself, I must tell that lazy idiot to trim the edges Finally, Kate. Thank you very much.